Greece continues through the difficulties and pain with their efforts to normalise the situation in areas affected by fires, with the number of victims having now reached 81 and a further 40 people declared missing. Justice Minister Gjonaj has stated that justice reform will continue and there is no going back. In response, the Democratic Party has accused the head of the Socialist Party of ruining the justice reform. The drinking water supplied to the inhabitants of Otllak in Berat has become polluted with sewage and consequently cannot be consumed. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday the 25th of July 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. The number of victims claimed as a result of the fires that hit the Athens region in Greece has now reached 81, while nearly 40 others have been reported missing. Authorities have continued to search, though as each moment passes, the chances of finding survivors reduces. In the surrounding area, you will see only the presence of authorities and the supportive residents who are trying to help in the efforts to restore normality, a proposal that seems far off due to the level of devastation that has been left as a consequence. It is still unknown what caused the fires with such fatal consequences, but the authorities have a strong suspicion that it was a deliberate act. For this reason, 4 individuals have been taken for questioning, though it remains to be seen what the outcome will be of the official investigations initiated for this case. People expressed a few words to say to the media that they are shocked and in pain. One man stood by his burnt car and explained how he saw his wife for the last time in the vehicle, gathering what remained of the burned body amid the falling of tears. Meanwhile, even though the authorities continue to work to re-establish the situation, there is still no clear reflection of just how many lives have been claimed as a result of this terrible situation. The authorities continue to receive many phone calls from people reporting missing relatives, as well as others seeking help for first aid supplies or because their homes can no longer be lived in. The Albanian government has gifted an assistance package of €100,000 to Greece in a show of support during this difficult time. The former Director of Foreign Relations and the decentralisation sector in the General Prosecutor's Office, suspended a few months ago by Chief Prosecutor Otllak, was dismissed from office. The decision was made by the Independent Qualification Commission, according to whom the former prosecutor could not justify her wealth. Rovena Gashi was not in attendance during the announcement of the decision, holding the same position as in the hearing, where she rejected the commission with the argument that the decision for her and many others was predetermined. The Independent Qualification Commission sessions today kicked off with Judge Aswit Facholi, a candidate for the High Judicial Council, whom the Commission reconfirmed in office. Even for Supreme Court member Ardian Dvorani, the Independent Qualification Commission decided to continue the duty, a decision that left the number of 6 members in this court unchanged. After leaving the hearing, Dvorani had this message for all his colleagues, judges and prosecutors. No matter the decision, the judge had to appear. I feel good that the Commission appreciated my career and my lifestyle as positive. It is really an alarming situation. The Supreme Court cannot afford the solutions because the number of judges is not determined by the Supreme Court. Our task is, wherever the law gives us the space to form trial chambers, to judge the emergency, priority issues, the conflicts between the courts, said Ardian Dvorani. But the decision to confirm Ardian Dvorani in office has sparked reactions from the Democratic Party. There are still 3 members of the Supreme Court who have not yet passed through vetting: Judge and Chair of Appointments in Justice Artan Brotsi, and Judges Mehdi Bitsi and Shkelzen Selimi. Justice Minister Gjonaj said that there is no turning back from justice reform. In a press conference, she commented on not giving the vote for the changes in the magistrates' law by the opposition, calling it a desperate and hopeless attempt to reverse justice reform. Since the opposition desperately seeks the revision, namely the destruction of this legally considered revolutionary law in the justice system, is increasingly clear. But backwards we cannot travel. Continued blackmail, day-to-day threats, imaginative congestion as an opportunity to impose backwardness has no way to function. The absurd protections of those who are rightly struck by vetting and absurd attacks on those who do not pass the verdict are seriously self-discriminatory acts of a lawsuit that has been lost in continuity with the election by the Albanian people. Vetting cannot be captured by anyone, cannot be used by anyone, and cannot be stopped by anyone. Vetting is defended by internationals. Statements about Albania left without a constitutional court and without a Supreme Court do not lead us anywhere. Albania has not been left without a court. Rather, we have been rescued from the consequences of corruption of these courts. Today's gaps are temporary and understandable, said Gjonaj. Gjonaj made it clear that the majority would not accept a review of the laws of justice, as the situation created in the country's highest courts, the Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court, are considered temporary. But in response to the statement of the Minister, Democratic Party legal advisor Gazmin Bardi said that Gjonaj tried to defend Edi Rama's efforts to block justice reform through propaganda. The Justice Minister tried to defend propaganda and opposition attacks against Edi Rama's attempt to block justice reform with the sole aim of blocking the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecution Office and the National Investigation Bureau, which will investigate corrupt governors and organised crime, said Gazmin Bardi. Bardi said that the Democratic Party will not accept blocking the justice reform and returning to the old institutions. According to the Bank of Albania's report for the second quarter, businesses have had more difficulty in obtaining an investment loan as a result of the banks tightening their lending criteria for commercial entities. According to the information from the Bank of Albania, there was an increase in demands for loans for the small, medium and large business sectors. As a result of increased demand during the second quarter, banks were able to be more risk-averse, taking on stronger applicants and strengthening loan terms in their favour in regard to required collateral. It is also worth mentioning the stated purpose of the requests for business loans, with a noted increase in loans to improve business liquidity, whereas loans requested for the purpose of investment or business growth actually declined. This suggests that businesses are facing difficulties. The report also notes that demand for credit for the purpose of investment is expected to continue to decline, also in the third quarter of 2018. Meanwhile, interest rates for loans in LEC are expected to reduce in the coming months, while those in foreign currencies, especially in euro, are expected to increase. According to the statistics published by the Bank of Albania, the total amount lent in May of this year dropped by 7 billion LEC when compared to April. The water that flows into the taps of the residents in the Otllak administrative unit of Berat for days has not been potable. Residents say their drinking water is mixed with sewage and cannot be used either for consumption or for cooking. The problem is also known to local authorities, who say that they have taken measures to clean up the distribution network but have not yet found the cause of the water's pollution. Yesterday, the working group that was specifically set up by the Directorate has taken measures by performing a discharge and cleaning the pipe, and it is expected that the damaged part will be repaired. By repairing this, citizens will be supplied with clean water, as was the case before, was said from the Directorate. There are about 800 residents affected, and for many days they have had no drinking water in their homes for these hot summer days, obliged to purchase bottled water instead. The municipality of Tirana started the full reconstruction of the road access from the overpass of the Technological School in Kombinat as the fourth entrance of the capital. During an inspection of the work, the head of the municipality of Tirana, Erion Veliaj, has emphasised that the investment will help not only residents of Administrative Unit Number 6, but also vehicles coming from the south or west that will use the national road from Ndroqi, which will also be reconstructed. By harmonising the two projects, namely the project from Kombinat with the project of the Ministry of Transport for the Ndroqi Road, we have also provided our city with a discharge valve. As you can see, the area is being improved by some investments. We have completed investments in schools, kindergartens and nurseries at the beginning. We have totally arranged the graveyard of Shara, which today is a much more dignified space, to show that we are a city of values, where we respect those who no longer live, but who have contributed to our city, said Erion Veliaj. Mayor Veliaj said that this access will have a dedicated bicycle lane on both sides. The road from the centre of Kombinat to the centre of Tirana will offer dedicated bike lanes, and travel will not take more than 3 to 4 minutes. It will be the best and most efficient way to move, especially if you are young or someone who feels good physically and can ride a bike well, said Erion Veliaj. According to the main axis, alongside the main axis, work is continuing on the secondary roads for a complete network of asphalted roads in the area. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.